Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 24th of April, 2025. I want to welcome you all to our continuing weekly series on the religious traditions of the world, religious studies, in another way to put that. We are continuing to examine Omni-Temporality, the various omni-qualities of the divine being, of the one singular monotheistic God, particularly in terms of the Jewish tradition and Christian tradition. We're examining both of these two traditions together. And much of this is also applicable to the Islamic tradition, but we'll cover that separately down the road at another time. These qualities are most relevant in terms of worship, devotion, connection, as well as greater absorption in divine consciousness. So along those lines, I'm going to show you some of my notes here on this. I have an extensive series of notes, which I would love to share with you. So the symbolic power of the heart metaphor. There is a metaphor here that you can see to describe the divine as the pulsing heart of all existence is to invoke a metaphor that simultaneously connotes vitality, centrality, and rhythmic continuity. We want to understand this sentence carefully, but I'm going to read the whole paragraph first. Within Jewish mysticism, especially Kabbalistic and Hasidic traditions, this image functions not as a mere poetic flourish, but as a dense symbolic formulation of divine immanence. A theological claim that God is not only the creator of the world, but also its living dynamism, continually present and active within every fiber of being. So what we're going to look at this paragraph here this evening is quite dense. There's quite a bit involved in it, and we will try to unfold it very carefully and step by step. The first thing to keep in mind is that there is the transcendent God, God that is beyond time, space, causality. Beyond time in what sense? That God is the creator of time. And within that time exists all of material creation. This is the basic idea. So there's transcendence and there is immanence. Two concepts. That when an individual is trying to understand intellectually the divine, the first truth that pops up in terms of revelations of the scriptures is that God is beyond our mental, our psychological framework of temporality. But he's within that also. So he's within time and he's outside of time. He's not bound by time. That being, that reality, the infinite is not bound by time. All right, so having said that, when we are trying to see all of creation in the light of God, that is the pulsing heart of all creation. And this is Jewish mysticism. What I'm going over here are in fact concepts from Jewish mysticism in the Hasidic and the Kabbalah tradition, both. So there is the dynamic immanence of the divine, the pulsing heart of all existence in Jewish mysticism. You can see in the top paragraph here, is to gesture towards the dynamic immanence of the divine. Well, how can we see that? Can we see reality in terms of dynamic immanence? And how would we do so? Let's look at some examples. Just seeing nature. The fact that nature exists. We could say that the existence is there due to dynamic immanence. That the presence of that divinity is in every tree, in every rock, in every person, in every being, and it is dynamic. It is active, it is alive. That is dynamic immanence. Dynamic immanence has a lot of devotional significance. Part of the connection with God, with regards to devotion, with regards to hymns and prayers, the words of the Bible, etc., that has to do with recognizing the immanence of God in all. So God is omnitemporal, omnipresent and omnitemporal. Omnitemporal means present in every moment of time. Every being is performing activity within time, is knowing the activity of all beings within time, and knows the entire structure of time, because God is transcendent to time. Hence, this is not something which is within the realm of our imagination. Our mind will just cannot reach that stage that is beyond time as such. So what are we left with? Why is this relevant? This is relevant in terms of the glory of creation, that all that is created, all that exists, cannot exist without the divine essence. So what that essence actually is, to tap into that, to discover that, or to ask God to reveal that, is the whole mystical path in all traditions. Mystical path or mystical realization is the actual tapping into that essence. And that is something very special. It is not within the framework of our usual mental or neurological activity. It is something quite beyond. Now, a little bit of commentary on my part on this are saintly qualities. The saintly qualities that are cherished in every tradition of the world. Saintliness, goodness, good, really high quality mind that is necessary to even begin the process of a mystical journey. Otherwise, God remains an idea. It's through faith and devotion, fine. That's fine. Up to that point, it's there. But that's it. The mysticism is beyond that. Mysticism is directly trying to touch that which one has faith in. It's a different ballgame, different field of realization completely. And that is where omnitemporality comes into the picture. Because when a person is absorbed in the height of devotion towards God, then grace happens. As we mentioned before, grace-based revelation, grace-based salvation. Right, 2 points. So for that grace to dawn on an individual, which can happen at any time for anybody, there needs to be certain amount of a prerequisite met for that, and that is saintliness. That is the purification of the mind, the dropping of negativities, the things that we generally talk about. But this is even further than that. This is like in Christianity, where Jesus makes the devotee like him, sanctified person. That is what we're talking about. And that type of realization brings about a day-to-day unfoldment of the omnitemporality. That God's presence is there in everything and everyone at all times. It sounds very nice. It sounds good to talk about that. Even one may have faith that that is true. But to actually touch that, or to be in communion with that truth, the usual tendencies of humanity, human functioning, need to transcend. They need to go beyond our usual relative framework that we are very much stuck in. And this is what is meant by the heart metaphor. Pulsing heart of all existence. That the divine, the Supreme Lord, is the pulsing heart of all existence. Where there is vitality. There's vitality. There is, there's centrality, and there's rhythmic continuity. You can see some of the notes on the side here. So the living energy of divine immanence in Jewish mysticism is called vitality. And we talk about energy all the time in our programs in Angel Wing. In Jewish mysticism, this is called Chayyut. You can see that on the right side there. Very interesting. See all the interesting connections. So, vitality as ontological aliveness. Ontological means being. That vitality, everything is vitality. A flower has vitality, a plant has vitality. We have vitality. So that is ontological aliveness. In the vocabulary of Jewish mysticism, particularly the Kabbalistic and Hasidic thought, the term vitality or life force denotes far more than biological animation or psychological liveliness. Yes, that is there. Biological animation is there. Psychological animation is there. We're alive psychologically, biologically, true. But this word, Chayyut, Chayyut, maybe I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly. That word, meaning inner vitality or life force, it refers to the inner divine energy that sustains, permeates, and enlivens all aspects of reality. A non-material spiritual essence continuously flowing from the infinite into all realms of existence. That's amazing. What a tremendous concept in Jewish mysticism. So fantastic, so beautiful. This is again some of my thoughts on this. That just that one word, the way that it was constructed or the way that it was discovered, that there's a discovery from the mystics that there is inner divine energy that sustains, permeates, and enlivens all aspects of reality. All aspects of reality, the billions of galaxies that are being discovered on a regular basis by these amazing telescopes. We can see them through our eyes, and through the mechanism of the telescopes. The microscopic world, the macroscopic world, all aspects of reality, infinite aspects of reality, are enlivened by a non-material spiritual essence. And that is the substance that is God. It's not a physical substance. It's a non-material essence. In the Eastern traditions, in the Vedanta tradition, that would be called Brahman, or vast consciousness. This comes very close, if not nearly identical, to a lot of the Vedanta concepts. It's really amazing. And you have actual Jewish mystical words that are beautifully correspond with many of the Eastern concepts also. But anyway, we'll do comparison later on. But this is amazing. I mean, just to even think of God in terms of prayer and worship and devotion and communion with Him in this way, that, oh Lord, you are the inner divine energy that sustains everything. Nothing happens without thy will. That sustains all, that permeates all. Now there's two words here. There's three words. Sustains, permeates, and enlivens. Let's keep our attention on those three words. The sustenance, for example, a rock. Take a rock. The fact that a rock exists, it is sustaining. There is reality, or there's matter sustaining in that way. Look at what's needed for that. Gravitational forces, weak forces, strong forces, things that have been discovered in physics. Immense amount of physical laws have to be present for a rock to exist the way it does, for a bacteria cell to exist the way it does. It is the teleological argument, the argument from design, that there's a great power, great intelligence at work that is creating the massive and infinite creation, and hence it is sustaining all of creation. That a frog exists, that a human being exists, that a giraffe exists, and it exists the way it does through its genetic codes and all. That happens because of inner divine energy, which is way beyond the biological and the psychological. But it's present. Even though it's beyond it, it's present within it. So this word, vitality or life force, Chayyut, Chayyut, if I'm saying it right, it is the divine energy, inner divine energy, inner meaning within us. Now where are we going to discover God? Within us. Not that we are God in the monotheistic traditions, but God is within us. He's present there. And we can discover him by tapping into this inner divine energy. And we talk about energy all the time. I may not use the word divine very often, but sometimes I do. In our other programs, here we're specifically talking about divinity. So we can definitely use that word. So inner divine energy that sustains all aspects of reality, that permeates all aspects of reality. These sentences that are in this document, these are all worthy of meditation and probing and discussion and dialogue. Each sentence is jam-packed, and I've got 74 pages of research so far done on this, on omni-temporality. Eventually we'll create a nice book out of it and all kinds of fun stuff in the future. But we want to tap into the realities, not just ideas. Look at this, permeating all aspects of reality. What does that mean? That this divine energy is present in all living beings, in all inanimate matter and animate matter. And it is the enlivening force. Allows me to move my hand, allows me to talk, allows every activity, allows the sun to shine, allows the planets to rotate. This is called the enlivening feature, the inner divine energy that enlivens all aspects of reality. And this divine energy is a non-material spiritual essence continuously flowing from the infinite. And there's the two Hebrew words, Ein Sof, E-I-N-S-O-F, if I'm saying them right. Let's be really clear about what this means. That this extraordinary power is constantly, continuously, without break, it is flowing from the infinite into all realms of reality. And how many realms of reality are there? Infinite. Who knows? Nobody knows. How many realms of reality are there? So, the Chayut, the vital force, the essential life force, is the immanent aspect of God's presence. We go to the zoo, for example, and you see animals are all living. They are living, as per the mystical tradition, is because of the presence of the divine energy that is enlivening those animals. And God is present as immanent. Immanent means present within the framework of time. Not simply a witness in a transcendental state. Yes, that is also there. There's a transcendental witness and beyond time and creation. And the same Lord is present within time and creation. And this is called the immanent aspect of God's presence. It is not remote, and not inert. Not just something remote, not just something inert, but pulsating throughout all things. What beautiful language that is. It's the pulsation of God. It's a good analogy, just like our heartbeat pulsates. Our arteries are pulsating and they're carrying energy and oxygen and nutrients to the whole body. Similarly, God pulsates through all things, keeping them in being, meaning their existence, like the rock example, that the rock exists, my hand exists, the glass exists, the home exists, all items, they exist from moment to moment. And that moment to moment, that is time. And that is omni-temporality. This idea reframes, R-E-F-R-A-M-E-S. This idea reframes the relationship between God and creation. Existence is not autonomous, but radically dependent on an ongoing infusion of divine vitality. See that sentence very carefully, please. What is the relationship between God and creation? That creation is the existence. But that existence is not autonomous. It doesn't just exist by itself, independent of God. but it is radically dependent, meaning completely dependent on an ongoing infusion of divine vitality. Amazing. Just like our bodies, we have energy that is coming inside through the food and water and other things. It's constantly being activated. That's why we're alive. So similarly, divine vitality means that divinity beyond time, space, causality in the material creation is vitally active in the creation. This is mysticism. This realization came out of the mystics in the Jewish tradition. And then you will find similar ideas in the Christian mystics. We'll talk about them at another time. These are ideas in Jewish mysticism. You see the actual Hebrew words. So, it is not that things were created and then left to persist. Rather, their being is entirely contingent upon the continuous presence of divine life within them. That there is divine life within a rock, within a tree, within an ant, within a bug, within a human being, within galaxies, within galaxy clusters, within atoms, within neutrons, within protons, everywhere. And this type of recognition and belief leads to extraordinary devotion. It is extraordinary devotional connection with God. By recognizing this truth. This is why saintliness is what I mentioned before. That high quality of the mind. The quality of emotions. We talked about this before many, many times. Let me talk about that a little bit more here. The quality of our mind. The quality of our inner life. What is that quality like? Is it fear and anger and greed and negativity and all this? What is all? That will not allow us to tap into this divine essence. But when the quality of the mind is very, very high quality mind, high quality person, the presence of such an individual speaks. Many examples are there, the saints and sages throughout the world. Doesn't matter what tradition. It's there in every tradition. They may not even be in a tradition. They might be the neighbors next to you. You don't know. It could be you even, if you have that. But there's no question about any ego or anything in that. It's the quality of that purification where we have the capacity to tune into the divine essence, the divine energy that is enlivening everything and everyone at all times, in all situations, in all circumstances. And that is divine immanence, the immanent aspect of the Supreme Lord. Because the material existence is radically dependent on the presence of the Lord. If there is no presence of God inside the objects, there is no objects. There is no reality, there is no creation. Nothing is there. Nothing can exist without that holy presence. All that exists is due to that holy presence. All that exists within time is existing within time because God has come into the framework of time for each and every object, each and every being, each and every particle of creation. But God has not degraded into the creation. That is the difference. Please see this point very clearly. In the monotheistic traditions of the West and the monotheistic traditions of the East, in particularly in the Hindu tradition, there's this very similar concept that God is transcendent, God is immanent, God is not degraded into the material world and has been bound as human beings may be bound or are bound. That's not what has happened. We are not like a degraded God. That is the ontological difference. In the monotheistic traditions, God is always supreme, superior, highest, the most high, the Elohim, the King of all kings, the final reality, never degrades. cannot be imagined. Our imagination doesn't go there. But when there is mystical union, mystical communion, through intense prayer, intense meditation, intense diving into the scriptures, the bona fide scriptures of the world, God reveals himself. What that actual divine essence actually is revelation. In creation, revelation in the sun, in the creation. This is like the Vedic tradition from India. This is how the Vedas got started also. Now you'll see a lot of similarity between the mystical traditions in both Judaism, Christianity, and some of the Eastern concepts. You'll see a lot of similarity there. Because there is adoration of existence. That existence has energy, but that energy is divine energy. It is a pulsating energy. What a beautiful metaphor. If our heart stops beating, what happens? We'd be finished. There wouldn't be any life. Similarly, if God stops, quote, pulsating in the creation, because the creation is also going through, the creation, sustenance, dissolution, all those phases. Everything goes through the creation, sustenance, dissolution phases. But it is happening that way. It is possible to happen that way because of the pulsation of the Supreme Lord inside all of creation. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Just one or two more points. I promised to stop at 7:30, so I'll do that. One or two more quick points here. Okay. Scriptural and theological roots of divine vitality. There's a lot of scriptures here that talk about this. The conceptual basis for divine vitality is embedded in multiple layers of Jewish textual tradition. Scripture itself identifies God not merely as creator, but as life giver and life sustainer. For with you is the source of life. That is Psalm 36:10. Okay, that's one reference. Then here's another one. You give life to them all. That is Nehemiah 9:6. These verses do not describe life as a possession God imparts once, but as a continual bestowal. See, this is how scripture gets interpreted. And then the mystical journey begins. Life itself is a divine emanation, renewed constantly and inseparable from God's presence. This view is echoed in the daily liturgy, which praises God as the one who renews his goodness every day, continuously, the work of creation. Right? Even though there is this concept of the fall from Eden, even though that is so, even though there is the knowledge of the good and evil, despite all of that, even the tree of the knowledge of good and evil cannot exist without the will of God. The fall from there or entering into the material creation cannot exist unless God permits it so, even though it was forbidden. And there's that more intricate way to understand that. We've looked at that before. Even despite that fact, there is the realization that there is God present everywhere, in everything. And with that realization, we could say that realization is a doorway back into heaven. Heaven that may be transcendental is actually perceived here. That's a possibility also. All right, so it's already 7:31. I'll give you a chance to all make some comments and ask questions about this. It's a very high-level subject to even discuss. It's very profound, but very beautiful, and it has tremendous implications for spiritual and religious faith and practice. With that, I'll stop here. Thank you.